Well, hello, everyone. Guess what day it is or what podcast it is? It's Southern Mamas Be Like. I'm Eva Marie Everson, and I'm here with one of my favorite sidekicks, Miss Jane Jenkins Herlong.
Hello.
There she is. I'm like, I think she's here. Where is she?
Well, Eva Marie, I love this, and I'm giving you big props on this for our a whole new dimension, I'm going to say. And you and I talked about bringing in some amazing women who have written amazing books. And goodness, when you sent out the invite, the floodgates open. Thanks to you.
Yeah. Well, this is actually our second one, but we're doing it a little differently. We tried it with Cindy Sproles, who was absolutely wonderful. She really was. But we're going to do them shorter. Yes. And more succinct, and we're going to have the same attitude, though. Let's face it, we're going to have the same attitude.
We do like attitude.
Yes, and so let's just bring in one of the best Southern sassy ladies I know, Ann Mulligan.
Hello.
There she is. So let me tell you something about Ann. I have her bio. It's right here. I'm going to read it. Because even though I've known her since Moses was a boy, yes, I want to make sure you know all the professional things about Ann. Ann has been a voracious reader ever since her mother instilled within her a love of books at age 3. Together, they would escape into worlds otherwise unknown. Then, when Ann saw Peter Pan on stage, she was struck by a fever and never recovered. Stage fever. Now, by night, she wears a director's hat at a community theater, and by day, a best-selling, award-winning novelist. She lives in Sugar Hill, Georgia, with her artist husband, a rescued German Shepherd. Her husband is not the rescued German Shepherd. I just want to make that clear. And a rascally Rottweiler. You can find Ann at her website, which we're going to have all that information for you later, and on Facebook, The Right Conversation and Blue Ridge Conference Vlog. Welcome, Ann Mulligan.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's so nice to have you. We have some questions for you, not only as Southern women, but because you are not only a Southern woman, but a Southern writer as well, up there in Sugar Hill. And I know right where that is. First one. Here's my first question for you, Ann. How do you spell mama? M-A-M-A or M-O-M-M-A?
I spell it M-A-M-A for me.
So, right, well, you got Cindy last time, Jane.
Yeah. So we're 1 for 1. We're tied. Yeah. So, and I got to ask this first. Where is Sugar Hill, please?
Sugar Hill is near Beaufort. It's northeast of downtown Atlanta. We're about 40 miles outside of Atlanta. I always say I live at the bottom of Lake Lanier.
Okay.
Well, the haunted Lake Lanier.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes.
Yes, wow. You should watch some videos about Lake Lanier. Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh, y'all. Well, that's why y'all such amazing novelists. Y'all pay attention to these things. And it is that would be a whole great novel. I guess you've probably both written one about it, but I'm just getting into this novel thing. So I'm fascinated, and I go like this to those who've written. So tell me a short story about your mama.
I'm going to tell you one about my grandmama. My mama. Because as I thought about that, I have more stories about her. But Mama died of a brain tumor when I was about 5. Oh. And when I think of her, I think of my last memory with her sitting on her lap. She was in the wheelchair. Her head was swathed with gauze, and which I thought was really cool. I wanted some. And Mama had bought me a bag of jelly beans, which was a rare treat. I was ADHD eons before they knew what it was. So sugar was not good, but she had to keep me occupied while she cared for her mother. And so I was eating them, and I asked Mama, I was sitting on her lap and asked her if she wanted some jelly beans. And knowing I hated the licorice ones at that point in my life, she told me to savor the black ones. And so I meticulously sat on a bench after they took her back into somewhere and put all the black jelly beans in a Dixie cup. And I saved them on the windowsill in the kitchen for over a year after she died. Took a lot for Mama to let her throw them out. And I often wonder if those saved jelly beans brought my mother a sweet memory or sorrow. Never did know, but that's what we did. And that's what I always think of when I think of Mama.
So your grandmother wanted you to save the black jelly beans for her, the licorice jelly beans.
Yeah. Because she knew I didn't like them. So
yeah,
she was so sweet.
That's so
I'm always impressed with the recall. Do y'all feel like that folks that write stories or novels or both or whatever have amazing recall? That is so intentional. I love that. Do y'all find that to be true?
Well, and if you notice, Anne said she put them in a Dixie cup. So not just a cup, a Dixie cup. And I can see that Dixie cup.
So yeah. You know, I don't recall, yes, of ancient times. You know, short term anymore is a little iffy.
So then, Anne, how did your grandmother or your mother influence you as a Southern novelist?
Well, of course, first of all, the starting me reading so young. I loved story, and I didn't know I was going to write because being ADHD. Instead of I took all the stories that were in my head and I played them out with my dolls. Played with them. I'd have stories go on for weeks, the same story continuing. So eventually I began to write. But I used to spend every Saturday at the library. Mom dropped me off. Mom would take me down about 10 o'clock as soon as they opened. And I'd stay till noon. I take all the books that I was allowed to check out, which I think were 5. And that's what I'd read that week. But I'd take them and I'd go across the street to the Rexall drugstore where I'd have lunch at the lunch counter.
Yeah.
And then Mom would pick me up about noon. And that was my every single Saturday.
Oh my goodness. I love the Rexall, girl.
Rexall. We have the Rexall. And if I was good, I got a cherry Coke.
Yes, absolutely. That's always
At
fun
Fountain.
to
At
do.
Fountain. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. So I'm curious too about any kind of favorite expression that your grandmama or your mama or someone in your family that resonates with you.
Yes, there's 3 of them. My mama always said she was tickled pink. Yeah. And then my other one, she would use to me all the time, says, "Girl, don't let your mouth overload your tail."
That's funny.
Yeah, I talked a lot. And then she always, her fave, she met someone she really liked. She said they could charm the dew off the honeysuckle.
Oh, the dew off the honeysuckle.
Yeah, we had a huge honeysuckle bush.
We were just on a trip with a very funny guy just from right down the road. He's extremely successful, but he's kind of down home. And we were with people from all over the country and from the north. And they were looking at us like, which one of us weird Southerners?
Oh, funny.
But David would tell stories. And he would have expressions like, "That boy grinned so hard you couldn't get a sidewinder saw to take off the grin." And it just got to be, as the trip progressed, story time with David's funny stories and funny expressions. And as you said, but here's the kicker. He told me one time, he said, "Jane, did you ever read anything by this woman named Dorothea Benton Frank?" I said, "Shut your mouth." I said, "Yes." He said, "She was a good friend of mine, and we'd go to Station 57 on Sullivan's Island, and she'd say, 'Just talk.'" And Lord, I looked up, I'm in some of her books.
How about it?
Isn't that the coolest thing? Anyway, I just thought that would be a fun thing to say with expressions like that, because they are very consistent with our Southern way of living.
So Anne, tell us about your latest project, what you're working on or what's about to come out.
But usually God whispers to my heart with a story idea. This time he slapped me upside the head and said, I want you to write that. And it was such a shock to hear that almost audible voice. I mean, you know, God's talking to you. And I panicked. I said, I can't write that. It's too hard. It's not what I do. I write light stories. But he told me that and says, that's why I want you to write it. And so my teacher could see I was having a very emotional moment discussing this with God, and she could see, and she asked what was wrong. And so I told her in the class, and they promised to pray for me. I said, I have no idea how I'm going to do this. And all I know is that it dealt with prejudice, racism. And like I say, it's not what I write. It's the story of Sweet Auburn. It's the story of two women, bloodlines apart, souls alike. In the shadow of the Great Depression, Aurelis Baker, who's part Cherokee and wholly unwanted, escapes the harsh realities of Hooverville with a one-way ticket to Savannah. But a telegram delivered during a stop in Atlanta derails her plans and strands her in a city just as unforgiving. Facing closed doors and cruel stares, Aurelis finds sanctuary for a small ad for a rooming house that promises a glimmer of acceptance. There she meets Ruby Lee, a strong-willed mulatto woman with her own scars from a lifetime of being judged and sidelined. Bound by silent struggles and unspoken pain, Aurelis and Ruby must navigate a world that offers little grace. Together, they discover kinship isn't always written in blood, but forged in courage, compassion, and the will to endure. So anyway, I'm about a little over 25% of the way into the book and working like crazy. So,
well, yeah. We're coming up on our stopping time. And the last question is, tell me any advice you would have for writers.
My three favorite. Enjoy the journey. You know, my journey, Eva Marie was my first teacher at my very first conference. And then a number of years later, she was my editor on my very first contracted book. And then we ended up writing a novella collection together. These are the things that happened during that journey. And then I say never stop learning, attend conferences, follow blogs that have good writing advice like the Blue Ridge blog and The Right Conversation. And last of all, its fiction is subjective. Not everyone's going to like what you do.
That's right.
Okay. God has the right person to hear what you have to say.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Anna. That's just beautiful.
Thank you, Anne. You have been a wonderful guest.
Fun.
Love it,
And
Anne.
I look forward to seeing you again soon, I hope.
I hope so, too. I know in May for sure, but maybe before, I hope.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great. Well, Jane, that wraps up another episode of Southern Mamas Be Like.
Yes, that was awesome. Thank you so much. And stay tuned. There are more to come.
Yes, there are. Bye for now, everyone.